Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I am excellent. Sorry, it took me a minute. I forgot my password for going on Chrome and then was like, what the fuck is my Google password?
What is this? No, don't even worry. It's not late. It's fine.
Well, theater kid. Where I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
At 10? At 10? She'll
I'm so
fire
excited
me.
to see you in your booth. That's so exciting.
Thank you. I love it in here. It's so nice.
Oh my God. I can imagine.
Does it sound okay?
Yeah, to me it sounds great.
Okay, cool.
So we'll
just wanna
see
make sure.
when I get into the editing board mix or whatever. But also at the same time, like I said, I'm not going to really be editing very much. So I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will just, since I'm not editing, it's a challenge. It's a Holly challenge to not edit as much as I usually do. Okay, but I will just go ahead and explain to everybody what the F is even happening. So I said this on our Instagram that we can't really talk about a certain show that we love to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyways, but just not in the way that it's like that we usually do, okay? Because according to the SAG rules, and I put rules in quotes because it's
Big
quite
quotes.
confusing,
Yeah.
that rewatch podcasts are going to direct people to the show in question, meaning it's technically promotion, meaning AKA struck work, AKA we're not talking about it, and we're not doing our usual stuff. Also, especially like like guest stars and stuff that I usually have come on, they're definitely part of it, and writers that I have come on, they're definitely part of it because of the writer strike and all these things. So my pivot is to have just like a good old-fashioned hangout moment with whoever the fuck I want to hang out with.
Yay!
And Maddie can't join us today, unfortunately, but she will be invited / come on, I'm sure, at some point. And we're going to still keep recording the park stuff. We just won't release it. So, but today I'm joined by my lovely BFF, Kris Carr. Oh my God, applause.
Oh, yay!
And you have a new studio, so we were just talking about that, and I know it's an audio medium, but it looks really beautiful, so
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
love it.
It's weirdly
Did it take
spacious.
you so long?
Okay. It didn't, but that's also because I outsourced.
Great.
Where it was,
Great call.
I had Logan and my friend Travis put this together, which when it got delivered, the lovely gentlemen who delivered it were like, what is this? Is this for game streaming? And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess you could. It's for voiceover. And so they had no idea how to put together. And that's fine. That was not their job. It was just to deliver it. But they did deliver it so that all the pieces were in the absolute wrong order that I needed them in. So they dropped all these huge pieces off, and Logan's teaching, and you know how I am. I can't just let something sit for a while. So it was,
I hear you.
I'll just move all these pieces by myself. And so the floor was like underneath everything. So I had to take everything off and then grab the floor so I could start setting it up. And then the measurements also didn't include the ventilation system.
No.
So this was my guest room. Whoops. So now people can sleep inside this booth. But yeah, Travis and Logan got it set up in like 3 hours.
That's really not terrible,
Which was not
though.
bad. And it was mostly just because this door was just challenging, where they were like, how the fuck do you make a
God,
door?
though. It's so professional and beautiful.
Thank you. I feel very, very legit.
What do you mean by ventilation system? Like there's slats and vents and
yeah,
stuff?
there's little vents and a fan that kind of helps circulate air so that I won't die inside this box.
Fair.
Which is very exciting. And especially since I use it for clients where it's like, hey, you won't die inside here. Isn't that neat? No.
Totally.
Now give me money.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, so how does it work if you're doing like a client for voiceover demos and stuff like that? Like, are you outside the booth directing or okay?
Yeah. So we have cords that can run through the entire thing and have all of our equipment on the outside aside from the mic and the headphones. And then Logan and I can sit on the desk outside, and basically we just like come up to this window over here and are like, hey, really nice, great work.
I love that.
But it's fine.
I mean, that's so close to like, I don't know. I mean, it is a professional studio now.
Yeah.
It always was, but especially with this, I feel like it's
Well, yeah, and
definitely.
before we did so many things long distance, we'd be like, hey, you've got your home set up, I'll edit for you and do all of that. And now people can come to me and feel legit and get that, first in the booth experience in a really safe space.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you can get paid more.
Exactly. That's nice. That part's really nice. I was like, ooh, we got to pay off this booth real quick.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. I love that though. I think it's a sound investment.
I see what you did there, and yes,
Oh,
it is.
pun intended. Okay, look, I wish that I was smart enough to actually come up with these puns, but it just kind of happens.
You
and
are.
So I should just go ahead and say that I came up with it.
I feel like that's your improv brain just like working in your benefit, you know? Where it's just you're letting it go do its thing, free-flowing stream of conscious, and it just supports you. It gives you those jokes when you need them.
I appreciate that so much. That's a lot better than my explanation of just it happenstance.
Because you're so smart and funny.
You're smart and funny.
Oh my gosh, thank you. How have you been, dude? What's been occurring?
Oh my gosh. So many things. Well, you know what? I just have to say, I really love doing this because I have like no notes to read off of. And I just like some of my favorite podcasts are just like two gals chatting about life. So I love that now I'm part of that. Anyway, not that like I wasn't before, but anyhow. Okay, there's like so much going on. I feel like there's a lot of changes, like planets are moving. Number one is that that I just wanted to mention. So I posted a TikTok yesterday, and I know that sounds lame, but I did. And I posted because I was actually genuinely curious. I didn't post it on my Instagram because it's about job searching, and I was like, I don't want like my employer to know, even though I don't really care. But you know,
yeah.
I'm clearly talking about it now, so who cares? Anyway, I was genuinely curious. I was like, how many people have been applying to jobs that didn't already know somebody that has actually procured a job within like 6 months? Because I know it takes some time, and 6 months is kind of like the average amount lately anyway. And I went in, so I also started a new job at a gym here. And so I went in and did that job for only like 2 hours because it was technically like just for the classes, which was great. But I came back home. And I live really close, so I would say like 2.5 hours tops after. I came back, I had 94 comments on that thing in 2 hours, and I know for a lot of people that's probably not much, but for me who's not gone viral or anything, and this isn't viral yet, quote unquote, but there were, and it just keeps climbing with people that are commiserating with me about this experience with the job hunt, because it is insane, and it's really, I think there's probably maybe... I can count on both hands, like maybe just one hand, the amount of people that were like, yeah, I have a job now, but it took like 8,000 years or X, Y, or Z. Because I really wanted to know if you didn't know anyone, like, can you just cold apply, essentially? And a lot of people are telling me that it's also like 8,000 interview processes, or people are like asking, or employers are asking prospective candidates to like do a full-on like project management thing for them. And I'm like, we getting paid for that? I'm not doing that. That's literally 10 hours of like literally 10 hours. So like what? And then you don't get hired after that anyway. And anyway, so I just feel like the problem, it really was the problem is not with us, it's them.
Absolutely. I 1,000% agree with this, because it's that whole idea you shouldn't, and I say this as an actor, for regular jobs, actual jobs where you have a skill set that is measured on a resume, that you have referrals for, all of that, that should be enough. You shouldn't have to audition. You shouldn't have to stage like you're a chef. You should just get to go do the interview process and do this. I don't understand why then all of a sudden you have to do a wee internship to prove you're worth something. Because also internships, it's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah.
Can of worms, rather, of just bag of worms.
Bag
of worms. It's real cute. You just carry them around, go fishing. But yes. I don't understand it, because it's just a way to immediately devalue somebody of prove it. I don't get it. And also, I don't understand how real, actual adult jobs work at this point anymore, because... I mean, you know this, with a creative schedule, it's so hard to have, and this is one of the reasons why people are striking, folks, where it's, hey, yeah, you should have another job to support your art. Yeah, absolutely. We all do. Most of us cannot have a regular full-time job that gives you benefits, that actually pays you well, that is actually, congruent to your skill set, because you can't leave that job whenever you have an audition. So instead, it's things like I've worked at so many dog food shops and brand ambassador jobs, or juicery selling cleanses, which just made me want to die.
Just like all the customer service jobs and the gig culture of it all, which, like, if that's your bag, like, go for it. I'm really lucky in the sense where I do have a job, and I say lucky because my position definitely lends itself to like being able to leave for like an hour or two or whatever on my lunch break or something, and I live really close. However, also, I can't say I really care that much. I'm an amazing employee when I'm actually there and I'm doing my job. I'll stay late to get the job done. I mean, like, you guys know me. Like, I will fucking do it. But I also, like, I know that it's not my forever place and it's not what my purpose is. So I'm not going to like pass up an audition so I can stay at work and work. Like, that's not going to happen. Yeah. But not everyone is so lucky because they can't, like, there are certain jobs, oh my gosh, and I would quit these immediately. There are certain jobs that like you have to submit what you've been doing each hour and like how productive you've been. I would quit. What? Like, absolutely fucking not. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
no.
We had one of those though once.
We did. Oh, fuck. I forgot about that.
Our end of the day email where we had to write every single thing we did that day. And it was
That's so true.
I mean,
I don't know if I really did it
I
enough.
treated it so ridiculous where I'd write down when I went to the bathroom. I got so petty. I also quit that job 4 times.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
I kept quitting and then staying because I'd get more money. And I was like, I'm not a good employee. I'm really awful while I'm here.
That is so funny. Oh my God. I totally forgot about that. But I feel like, how long was that implemented? Because I don't even feel like I really did that.
I think it didn't last a long time because everyone was like, I'm not doing it. I don't have time to do it.
Yeah. Well,
it was stupid.
It is so stupid. But yeah, so that's kind of like the main thing that I've just been thinking about lately, because I want to get a new full-time gig, something that I actually am either 10% interested in or that I can work from home in, or that I'm just getting paid more money, because I get paid decently for what I do. I'm not like mad about that. I just don't really love it or even like it. And it's not even about liking it. I mean, it is to some degree, but for the most part, I'm just like, I'm done learning what I want to learn. And like, I'm definitely a type of person where, and I think all of us are to some degree, where you're just like, if you aren't like adding more skills or like knowledge to your brain and your life and whatever, it just gets so stagnant. And I'm like way more tired there than I am anywhere else. Even if I'm slow or like not doing much, it's just like my brain and my energy just like plummets. And so, I mean, like I said, I am lucky. So I am definitely like grateful and all the things, but I also know how much better it could be and how much my skills could lend itself to something else and how much more I could learn. But it is interesting to me, and I'm so glad that people were like reaching out and like being vulnerable. Some people were writing like, yeah, I have like a degree and a master's degree and I'm not getting anything. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so crazy.
It's really wild. Were there any big revelations from any of the comments where you were just like, whoa, I can't believe that?
Not really. I mean, as far as, not like revelation wise, but it really was more just like an affirmation of it's not us. Like, we are trying. These bitches are in here. Like, I'm starting doing 3 part-time jobs until I find like a one that I really love. And like, that's the thing that also really pisses me off, because the reason that I took my part-time job now is to pay off my student loans. And I am also in a great spot with my student loans because I paid them off a bit during the COVID shutdown of interest and everything. So that was really helpful. But then once COVID kind of like backed off a bit, I like wanted to travel and like put in my savings and all this bullshit. So I stopped paying them. But I just am so close. Like, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm just like, I've got to, like, I think I probably have 2 years left. Maybe a year if I really like buckle down.
That's
which is
amazing.
I'm going to have the biggest fucking party you ever did see. It's going to be like a wedding when I pay those things off.
As it should be.
Oh my God. And so that's what's like been in my mind too, where I'm just like, all these fucking people are lazy, like they just want a handout. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, cool. You don't know anyone or maybe you do know someone, you're just like, I don't know. It reminds me, and I don't know, are we allowed to can I talk about the Barbie movie?
I feel like we're allowed to say, I don't know. Okay, my thing is so weird too, because I'm on movie news shows.
Yes.
But with my contracts, I'm allowed to still talk about it. But I try to avoid things. It's weird. All of it doesn't make sense. So let's talk about fucking Barbie.
It doesn't make sense, you guys. Well, and like that's the thing too. Like our small little podcast, like it's small but mighty. Probably would not be like reported or anything of that nature. But then when I posted that we weren't doing it, so many people that had been on the show and also like just people in general reached out to me and was like, "Thank you so much for doing that. Like solidarity, we love this. Thank you for supporting us." Blah blah blah. And so I was like, okay, I get it. And I wanted to do it anyway. But my point being is that like I don't know what to do. So my main thing is that I was going to talk about, because whatever, it's just that speaking of the student loans and being lazy and all this stuff, it really reminds me of the part in the Barbie movie where Ken is like, once I learned that the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I kind of got bored with it anyway.
Just lost interest.
And it really that was such a perfect depiction to me, because so many people I feel are just doing this so that they can stay on their side and like stay in that community and just have somebody to like fight with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And so anyway, but the Barbie movie was awesome. So
I loved it.
Also, have you seen Oppenheimer? We don't have to really talk about it because I haven't seen it yet.
I did. I went and saw it by myself.
Oh my God. Is it scary? Will I be like freaked out?
It's not scary in the sense of typical violence and horror in like the horror genre, right?
Yeah.
It's scary in that it does make you just think about the atrocities that we are willing to commit during war times, and then how it's not until those things are implemented that we actually start thinking about them as people. It does a really good job of talking about that. Probably not to the extent it needs to, right? Because it does gloss over the people, the indigenous people who were displaced in New Mexico for these testings. There's tons of information on that. I've fallen down that rabbit hole of just, how all of these, Hispano communities were displaced and everything, and their farm animals were killed, and people there too also suffered from radiation poisoning, so similar effects as what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's wild. I don't know if you've read the book too, American Prometheus. So that's what they borrow a lot from. And the book, this is one of the ways I get around stuff on the internet, you guys. Is the book is American Prometheus, and it documents a lot of what happened for the process of coming up with the atomic bomb. It's a well done story. It's told very, very well. The sound mixing is crazy. It's so loud and intense. You definitely do have to be in the right mindset, though. And it was one of those things where I'm redoing Artist's Way. I'm rereading Artist's Way and trying to do it. And that was my artist date. Was I'm going to go take myself to this movie and just be by myself for a matinee, so I can have a very introspective kind of view on it.
Yeah.
And
wait, explain to people what the Artist's Way is, just like really briefly for those that don't know.
So the Artist's Way is this book / kind of journal with writing prompts. And essentially it is a several-week process in which you are trying to connect with your creativity and your inner artist and kind of get rid of any of those negative thoughts that come up with us, where artists need to be poor, or there's this idea of artists only succeed with certain parameters around them, or you're not worthy of having anything to say in art, yada, yada, yada. And so
you have to be the struggling artist.
Yeah. It's a really great thing to read alongside of You're a Badass at Making Money. Those two books go together really, really nicely.
That title sounds dope AF.
all the You're a Badass books are so great, where it's just like, you're awesome. Why would you tell yourself you're not? You're fucking incredible. And the finance one is just like, you're allowed to make money. Been on a big feminist finance kick lately. I was reading that, and her first 100 put out a book called Financial Feminist, which is really helpful too.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to get that nickel.
Your Rich BFF?
Yes.
I love her so much. She just my sister introduced me to her, and I also follow Nerd Wallet's podcast as well.
Yeah.
But there's like so many, and there's like Money Girl. I'm the same way. Once I like kind of started, my sister is a big, huge part of this, because she was what started me like budgeting to really get those credit card loans and student loans down and all that stuff. But then I started like learning, because she just like loves learning it. I have to, like Oppenheimer, probably be in the right mood for it a little bit, or just like have it on in the background and then listen to it again when I'm actually listening. But anyway, I love when women talk about it too, because I feel like it's just so empowering.
Yeah, well, I think too for us, our moms in the 90s were working women who were starting to enjoy finance right?
Mhm,
And having
mhm.
financial independence. I mean, women weren't allowed to have their own bank account until the 1970s, so their mothers had a whole struggle with it and
Right.
everything. And so I think it's just really, really cool that we're at a time right now of being, this sounds so gendered, but there's this idea, right, of like marry a rich man, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm the rich man. I'm the rich person. I like
Yeah.
to borrow from that Cher quote of just like, no, it's me. It's me.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that. That was so funny.
And so
Mom, I am the rich man.
yeah, I am the rich man. And I love how much content there is for that right now too, because we just don't get talked to about investing. I mean, I'm old enough that I had a home ec class.
Me
Right?
too.
Okay, yeah, where I learned how to sew buttons on pajamas and make pancakes. And like good, but also could someone teach me about checking accounts and investing
Right.
and how I shouldn't have paid cash for everything up through my 20s? I had the credit of a ghost. Like,
Yeah.
it was so dumb.
I know. Well, no one teaches you once you even do have credit, like the intricacies of it all, as far as like closing out your credit card, how that's going to affect your credit and it's going to go down. And maybe you should just keep it if it's not terrible, but how it will probably go back up if you have another credit card or some, you know. I think it's nuts that credit and like taxes aren't taught in either high school or college. College for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's idiotic. It's so important. Why does no one teach a basic class on filing your taxes?
oh my God. Or the fact that you're fucking 17 years old and given this shit ton of money and not being really taught about it. Like, what?
Yep.
My thing is also, my friend Erin and I talk about this all the time where we're like, we'll pay back what we owe, just like don't charge us 100,000 bajillion dollars of interest. Like even a little bit of interest is like acceptable in some regards, like economy, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like these interest rates are so gnarly. And luckily, like I said, I'm lucky I don't have private loans. I have federal. So I'm able to keep them, you know, subsidized and all that.
That's great.
But I'm just like, this is nuts. And I'm complaining? Like, if I can't imagine. And that's the thing, too, when we were discussing, when the world, or when America was discussing the whole student loan forgiveness, like, people, again, were like, it's a handout, it's this, that, and the other. And I was like, but people don't understand that it's not paying off all of our loans. It's just to get our head above water.
Yeah.
To, like, start living somehow.
Well,
and, like, these crazy financial people aren't really understanding that it's going to benefit the economy in the long run anyway. It's just so dumb.
it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of this conversation about this perception of people being lazy, where it's, okay, well, you know, several decades ago, our parents' generation, right, they didn't have these exorbitant loans. They could get a house while working a regular full-time job. They did have, you know, it was normal to stay at a job for your entire career and move up the ranks. That's not normal now either, where people are encouraged to jump, you know, at least every 2 years to do something different and to have multiple jobs. Or I've never worked a full-time job too that allowed me to do the full 40 hours to qualify for health insurance because they want to save money. So there's so many things. And then when you layer on student debt on top of that, how do they think anyone's going to survive?
It's stupid.
Oh my goodness. But we will. I don't want to be bleak.
We will. It'll happen. It will happen.
Everyone's gonna be thriving.
And there's a lot of people I know out in the world trying to help this. And even though it's like knocked down forgiveness as far as the $10,000 or $20,000 that Biden was going to do, like they still have made serious improvements on the repayment plans, which is a really big deal. And also the forgiveness for people that are working in like nonprofits or you know, public sectors, things like that. So like there are good things, and it is a reminder to, you know, look at the small victories, because in the end those are big victories. It's just like not exactly what we wanted, but it's still something. So anyway, what's been going on with you?
Oh man, truly not too much because of the strike. I'm very lucky because of doing mostly voiceover. I've still gotten to work, which is nice. Because I did a video game where I got to do voice replacement for someone who's a cat. I play a lot of cats, and I love this. I still don't get it, and I'm really excited about like doing a supercut of this edit where my voice director was like, "You're so good at cat noises," and then I got like "You're so good at sneezing." I was like, "What is my job?
Okay.
What do I do? I don't understand."
Oh my God.
So that's all been fun, and putting all this stuff together. Coming back from London was really, really cool.
Yes.
That
oh my God,
was
we haven't even really
magical.
talked about it.
No,
I
we
mean, we
haven't
kind
gotten
of
to.
talked about it via text, but
Yeah.
okay, tell me everything. Or like, what were the top 5 things that you
man.
thought about?
What was great was we got to see 2 shows, which was amazing.
Yes.
We saw The Pillow Man with Lily Allen, and then we saw Bleak Expectations, which was so fun. It's a kind of melodrama that makes fun of Charles Dickens, and it had Tom Allen in it, who I love, who's such a funny comedian, and we watch him on a lot of panel shows like 8 out of 10 Cats and things like that. So that was incredible to do. Logan had never been before. And so we did a whole bunch of the touristy stuff. Like we walked by Buckingham Palace and saw the changing of the guard and did the London Eye. But the best things probably were we spent one day where we walked for like 10 miles.
Whoa.
And we went to the Tate. And then we left the Tate because we realized they had pretty much all the same exhibits that LA just had. And so we were like, this isn't time well spent, but really beautiful museum. Went and saw the Globe, walked across the Millennium Bridge. And then we went to Borough Market, which is just this big market that has, different cheese sellers and different vendors and things. And Logan's a dialect coach, for those of you who don't know. And so he was having a blast because people thought he was from there. And so he was just having a great time.
Oh my gosh, did he practice his accent on them?
Yeah, he spoke the entire time we were there that day. Where like when we left the house that morning, he was like, we're English today, all right? Figure out where you're from in London. And
oh my
I was
God,
like,
that is so amazing.
I'm going to try to not talk to people then because I'm not consistent. And he did a great job where he had several conversations with people and he had such a blast. And it was
Where
so
did he say he was from?
Oh, he I can't remember where he said he was from, but he used Cockney most of the day.
Okay.
But yeah, he did a great job. It was wonderful.
I always say that I would love to be from Surrey because of Kate Winslet in The Holiday.
Oh, gosh, I love that movie. It's so good.
It's so perfect and dumb. I love it.
Jack Black is so wonderful in that movie. What a dream
I
boat.
say this to so many of my friends. I feel like I've said it to you at some point, but I feel like I haven't said it in a while. Jack Black in that movie is like my type.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my type. And I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful.
He's perfect in that movie. He's so perfect and wonderful and adorable. Oh, I love him.
So good. Like comedic musician, like super cute and precious. Oh my God, I love it.
So thoughtful. So kind.
Thoughtful. Oh my God.
He's a dreamboat. I love him so much. Jack Black is always a dreamboat too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Same here. He's so funny. He's a great follow on all the social media channels.
I love it. Especially right now that he's in his I'm going to wear suits that reflect my film I'm promoting era.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
So good.
I got to see him at CinemaCon describe the entire plot for another movie he's got coming out, a new animated film. And he just pantomimed everything for what the story is going to be and was kicking across stage and just being Jack Black. And it was the best. It was so great.
That sounds amazing. Oh my God.
I love him.
Okay. What else happened in London?
And then we got to have gin and tonics on the Thames, which was so nice.
Oh my God. Were you on a boat? What was going on?
No, we just there was this great little dock restaurant where you could just they had a bar up there and you could just walk up and go on. And it was so, so cute. And that was probably the best day. It was just us getting to walk around, and it wasn't doing once we got to the market too, it wasn't touristy stuff. It was just people going and picking up groceries for the week. And just people watching was so nice. That was all lovely. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It made me wish that LA was more walkable. Too? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I got to go to so many of my food places. Oh, thank you.
Oh my God. Sorry, what did you say? I cut you off though before I asked that.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just wish where I lived in LA was more walkable. That was my big takeaway after this was oh man, because I love walking around. I really, really do.
I know. Look, comparing any European or any country transit / walkability to anywhere here. Yeah. Not gonna work out.
and I'm truly mine's not too bad because I'm the valley, so share rules. You can get anywhere in 30 minutes. But it's also I'm gonna walk by a lot of real sketchy stuff before I get to a cute thing.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, the food places were amazing. We went to this place called Fallow that is a sustainable restaurant, which I had text Holly and our friend Mia all this stuff about these restaurants because I love food so much. I love it so much.
And that's part of traveling too.
It seriously was one of, if not the best meal of my life. It was so good. And our waitress was so lovely. She was from Canada and she was telling us really cool places to go. She also thought I was way cooler and younger and hipper than I was. Because she was just like, oh, this club and this thing and this. And I was like, I'm not, it's almost 9 p.m. I want to go to bed.
Yeah, we're not going to the club.
I am young in face and old and everything else. Went to a really cute tea place called Sketch that had the weirdest fucking bathrooms I've ever seen in my life. They were these weird eggs that you would go into.
Oh, I remember seeing that on your story.
Yeah, and I was so confused by it, where it felt like I was going to go call Orson via Mork and Mindy, and I just didn't understand why I was supposed to pee in that.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It was very, very weird. But yeah,
but
it
what
was
kind of
amazing.
things did you eat?
Oh, at the fallow place, we had, they grow their own mushrooms, and we had a mushroom pate. We had a Korean flatbread. This doesn't sound good to most people, and it was truly one of the greatest things I've ever had. It was a cod head that they had fried and put in a curry sauce, and it was magical.
Do you eat the head?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, so you eat the head, and the bones are on there, so you're just picking stuff off, and like the eyeballs on there too. And I don't know, growing up Italian too, like you eat that shit already, so it was just like, oh yeah, this is fine.
This is natural.
This makes sense to me. This was really weird. They had oyster shell martinis, where like they put the oyster shells into the gin and let that steep and do some stuff with it from all the oysters that they serve in the restaurant. That was really amazing tasting.
Wow.
The Sketch place, it was all little tea sandwiches and profiteroles and cakes. It was really cute.
Oh, was that the picture that you sent where you guys were at tea? Like not a high tea, or maybe it was a high tea.
It was high tea, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Our time
time
difference worked out great for texting. Like,
yeah.
Just because it was our friend Mia in New York, and then you in Nashville, and then me in London. It was just like, I would wake up and you guys would be doing stuff. You'd be like, oh, yay.
Oh my God. I know. I loved that. I loved how informed we were, though. That was so cute.
Thanks, bud. Thanks.
I love a tea. Yeah,
right here.
Yes.
You know?
A high tea moment, too. I've been trying to find, like, all the tea places here that I can find. There's, like, a couple. My friends and I just went to one, like, a couple weeks ago. That was so cute. But they have more. And when exactly is high tea, technically? Is it, like, 3?
I think it's something like that. Logan was trying to say that the other day, where he's like, we should have tea. Wait, is that at 2? Is it when? I don't know.
Right. I think it's meant to be like right before supper or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that would make sense to me.
That sounds good.
But anyhow, oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad that you had a good time.
Yeah. Was the tea thing for you part of your birthday bonanza?
No, I just had been wanting to go for a long time. I have a Nashville, like, others list, I call it, because I've had like a list of things to do, but I've kind of like finished most of my stuff that I want to do. I mean, obviously they have like new restaurants coming up every day, but that's not really the idea for these ones. These are like more random things, number one, but number two, like staples and like museums, staples as far as like the symphony or the ballet or things like that are always going to be around, that are always good, but that you kind of have to budget for. So yeah. So I definitely want to do that by the end of the year, because I don't know. I've never been to the Nashville Symphony. I didn't see the symphony play, but my friend worked at the LA Philharmonic, but I never actually saw them. So I didn't get to do that. So I kind of just want to.
We'll have to do that.
I know.
It's so fun because they do stuff all the time that's just magical, especially around Christmas. Oh my gosh, their Christmas shows are great.
Yeah. Well, and they play at the Bowl too, right? In the summer? Or no? Okay.
Which is great because then you can go see a movie with them doing the soundtrack to it, which is so cool. I've done that for E.T. And what else did we go see there?
Like a Harry Potter situation?
I think we saw Star Wars. But yeah, it was like a John Williams-y situation, they're great. They're amazing. Of course they are, though. Any Philharmonic orchestra, it's going to have good people in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just had that tea thing on my list that I wanted to kind of get done, or not done, but like check off my list. But there's this other place in Clarksville, which is where I did the last theater show I was in, and it's called Pinkies Up, and it is so freaking cute. We didn't realize, but we accidentally went on Father's Day. Oh my God, it was so cute. All these little cute girls in their dresses, and their dads were in their little suits, and they like had a moment. And that place, if you're in the Tennessee area, Middle Tennessee area, you should 100% go to Pinkies Up. They're not paying me. It is like the pinkest place. It has flowers. There's like a little telephone booth in there, and it's run by 2 women. I think they're married, and one is from London area, and she was like, my partner said that she doesn't really love British food, but she loves tea or something like this. And so they like made this little moment, but it's also like they have chicken and waffles, so it's like a southern twist on it too, like as part of the little 3-tier thing. But it's like the most Instagram worthy place, but also the tea is super cute too, and like all the teapots are beautiful. It was just so cute. I loved it.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah. So anyhow.
Oh, I love that so much. How are you feeling about Nashville these days?
I mean,
you're very politically involved, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I would say as far as like how I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be here forever, and everyone pretty much knows that. I think that that's another reason why I'm kind of job searching too, because working from home would be so amazing to like go travel and visit other places. When I went to Chicago, I could 1000% see myself living there. So I definitely thought about that. There is a gym. The gym that I just started working at has locations there. So like, who's to say? Yeah, so I mean, I'm feeling decent about like the people that I surround myself with in Nashville. I love them dearly and I like hang out with them, but I don't love Nashville itself as far as like for me personally. I think it's a great town to visit, which is a lot of how people feel about LA, and every time they say that, I'm like, I'm completely the opposite. It's so funny to me. Like people in Nashville, not all, but a lot of people in Nashville are like, yeah, I didn't really love LA, and I'm just like, because you literally were there for like 2 days, and you saw Hollywood Boulevard, and you maybe went to Malibu. Like Malibu, is my like place. Okay, that is my natural habitat. However, that's not all LA. Okay, so like I feel like people judge it so hard, and like to a certain degree, like I get it, I understand, but there's some people that also went there just not at the right time, I think, because there's some people that like went and said it was like super bougie, and I asked where they went, and they like are going to like the fucking Roosevelt and like these rooftop bars, and I'm just like, that's not LA. I mean, that's part of LA, obviously, but I just feel like that's coming to Nashville and saying you're going to Broadway, the honky tonks, and saying, yeah, I didn't really like Nashville, and I'm like, you didn't see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there are some people that are like, they did see LA and it's just not for them. But those people are always more diplomatic and more empathetic of like, it just wasn't for me. Whereas the people who only saw like 2 streets were like, yeah, I didn't like it. And I'm just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love how those people, they become such huge haters on it of, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I went to Hollywood and it was so disgusting. Yeah. All of us would have told you that. None of us want to go there. None of us do.
I do not recommend going there. Drive through it if you must.
That's what I did with my mother, where she wanted to go see, the Chinese theater and everything. I was like, we're going to drive by and see how you feel about it. And she goes, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's basically like going to Times Square and then being overwhelmed, and it smells bad and all the things. And I will say, though, I remember when I came back to LA after I had moved and we went to the Roosevelt because I was too poor to go there when I lived there. I was like, I need to at least try it. And again, we were in the right mindset. It was crowded as hell. Not inside the hotel, I remember that, but like, outside of it. But like, it was the best. I loved it. So.
I think that's a fun thing to do. If you are going to go into Hollywood, have a drink at the Roosevelt, or maybe even go rent one of the cabanas to be by the pool.
Yes.
Right? Or check out a movie over at, El Capitan, or see it in, Grauman's. Go see it in there. That's a really cool experience. And then GTFO. You don't need to stay there.
I think that's a really like valid point though, because I feel like a lot of people that do Hollywood Boulevard are looking for specific stars, or they just want to see the stars, or like in front of the Chinese theater. Yeah. But they're not actually going to like see the historic like Hollywood memorial of this is the place of film and TV and La La Land and whatever. So like El Capitan and Roosevelt, like if you were to go inside of those places and actually have an experience rather than being overwhelmed by like all the tourists. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's great. I just had a student who came. They did a demo with me in person, which was so exciting because they're from Texas. Yay! And I didn't think I'd ever get to meet them. But he and his husband came, and it was, we're going to go to the El Capitan. We're going to go to Cinespia and go see a movie at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which I think is something that if you were here in town for that, you should totally do because it's such a iconic thing. And then they do it very respectfully, in my opinion, too, where it's not people doing anything, questionable around the graves or anything like that. I know
Totally.
that makes people nervous. Like they did stuff like that, and then they went to like a horror movie convention that was in town, and then went to a couple other iconic places. And if
That
you do
sounds
go,
awesome.
yeah, like if you go to Malibu, go to like Neptune's Net and just get like some fried fish that you get to eat by the ocean.
Yes.
You don't have to do like the whole Nobu
Yeah.
perch fancy
Yeah.
thing that you see in reality TV, because those people don't pay for those things.
Right, that's true too. But you know what I will say, like as much as people don't love those places, besides Hollywood, I love those places.
It's very true.
Like I love going to Nobu, or like what else did I do? There was something else that I did, like one rooftop bar or something like that. I was like, this is phenomenal.
I love it. Perch is gorgeous. I love those places. But you go every now and then, right?
100%.
It's once a quarter I can treat myself to something nice. Also,
Exactly.
when people don't like LA too and they stay here, I'm just like, please leave. Please leave. This
Yeah.
city is so crowded, and if you hate it here,
What
go
are you doing?
anywhere else. Please do.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing too. Like, it doesn't make sense to me if you didn't love it. Like, I mean, because it is one of the more expensive places to live. So, like, you could definitely find somewhere that's more livable that you might enjoy. That's one of the reasons why I've stayed here. Like, as much as I like talk about Nashville, and I do give Nashville so much credit as far as like, you know, the town itself and the people here are really wonderful. But like, as much as I talk about it, I think that one of the reasons that I am in a good financial spot right now is because I can afford to actually like live and pay off my shit.
Yeah.
And especially as a creative person, and I don't think you just have to be a creative person, but especially for me and my sake, like if I wanted to do my record or like do a short film or do whatever the fuck and I'm financing it, I don't have all that extra money. And that was one of the main reasons I moved, because I was in so much debt, and I was like, I can't do the debt thing and the music thing and not have any money. Like, because I can't, you know, for a while, and I think everybody does this, well, at least I would hope you're lucky enough to, but for a while, my mom was helping me when I first moved to LA, and I was like, she can't do that forever. Like, she could barely do it then. So I was like, no, we have to change something. But that's the thing. When you move, you can always go back. So,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. And I only get to live here because I'm incredibly privileged. I would not be able to afford to live on my own.
Yeah,
And-
that's true too. That was what I was doing. I would
Yeah.
say if I had a roommate, if I like bucked up and got a roommate, I could totally do it. But mentally, I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah. No, I completely
But you
understand
like
that.
your roommate.
I like my roommate. I liked him so much I married him. It worked out nicely. When I was like, I guess I'll live with this schmuck, whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm in love with him.
Oh my God.
Like I lucked out with that. I'm very fortunate to have the jobs I do. And then, you know, on top of that too, like again, going back to it, I didn't have student debt. I got an academic scholarship. It just meant a Catholic scholarship. I got a Catholic scholarship because I was a cantor at my church and I went to Catholic university. Like, that's the only reason why I got any money was...
How was Catholic University? I feel like you talked about this briefly, but I don't really remember.
Honestly, great. And I say this to somebody who is not a practicing Catholic or a Christian. Because I was raised that way. And then I went, that's not for me. If it's for you, great, but not for me. And the actual university experience was really lovely in that I didn't have to participate in any of the religious things if I didn't want to.
Really?
Yep.
So, like, it wasn't required to, like, go to temple, to go to, what do they call it?
Mass?
Yeah, but also, shoot, they have, like, a word for it when it's in university. You have to go to, like, X amount of services to count towards your degree or whatever the fuck. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, no, we didn't have to do that, which was great.
Wow.
There were essentially... no sports. St. Edward's had some sports where it was like basketball, softball, baseball, that kind of thing, but it wasn't football, which was huge for me living in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There were no sororities. There wasn't a Greek system, which I know, again, some people really love. My cousin did that and she was very involved. That's not really my personality or anything. And plus I was close enough to UT that I could still go get that experience and go to those parties if I wanted to. And then it was just really nice to be educated by clergy members in a way that didn't have to do with religion. Like,
that's fascinating.
That was really cool to have, you know, a priest as my college algebra teacher, or have a nun be teaching me about specific history things and talking about, you know, religious interference in a very non-judgmental way that directly could be impeded by her faith. It was really, really interesting. I liked it a lot. Although I will say that same professor who I had for college algebra, I'm not very good at math. I'm not very good at math. I wish I was. And I tried so hard. And at the end of that class, it was, well, Kris, what grade do you think you deserve? And I was like, oh, it's a trap. This is such a trap.
Oh, yikes. I don't like that question.
It just kept going down. And I was like, an A. And then I was like, an A minus, a B, a C. Could I please have a B? Could I please? I showed up and I really tried hard. And I did get it.
Oh, my God. That's great.
So that
Wait,
nice.
how did you find out about this university, though?
Oh, well, I mean, I was very involved in my church growing up. Because you had to be if you were a Roman Catholic kid. My mom taught like CCE, and I had to go through confirmation and do all of that stuff. My first year was at St. Thomas, and I did that because it was in Houston, and if we're being completely honest, it was my safety school. And the girl did not apply to enough places because she thought she was hot shit. And I was like, I'm gonna get into my top choices. I'm so very talented. No big deal. And I didn't.
Oh my God.
I also had made the last minute decision to not pursue an acting degree, which is hilarious now in hindsight.
Wait, really?
Yep. I had auditioned.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this before, I don't think.
I don't think so either, Kris.
I auditioned for conservatories at the International Thespian Festival, and I made this stupid deal with myself where I had to get into like so many schools. Otherwise, I shouldn't be an actor, because if I couldn't even get into those schools, then I shouldn't even pursue this. And I got into less than I had wanted. And some of the ones that I got into, too, I was absolutely not going to get into academically. Because I was very average. I was a B student. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. So I'll focus on writing and journalism, and that's what I'm going to do. Because I had won like playwriting contests in high school and stuff. And so I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to focus on. And then I'll, either be a writer or I'll be a journalist. And that's the thing I'm going to pursue. And then in real life, like once I graduated college, I lost my job at the Houston Chronicle. And the same day I lost that job, I got a little wine drunk with my coworkers who were commiserating with me, and where we were just happened to be connected to where they were doing open auditions for like the Houston theater circuit. And so I was like, okay, I'll go read. And then I started being a professional actor.
Oh my God. Wait, so when was that you did the auditions for reading that you were just talking about?
2007.
But was that like when you were already in college? Did you say that?
I had graduated. Oh, wait, no. So that'd be after 2009. So yeah, 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd graduated. God. Yeah.
So did you just go home and like look up what they were doing, or did you literally go in there wine drunk?
Literally like went in kind of wine drunk.
Oh my God, I did not know this story. What did you read? Do you remember?
I had to read sides for In the Blood, which is the show I ended up doing. And then they also they wanted like a monologue. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I still have like my monologue memorized from when I auditioned for shows in college. Because I still like did theater. I just wasn't like a hardcore actor. And I did like extra work so I could make beer money.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
If you can.
The thing because Friday Night Lights shot in Austin. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to go be a high school student on the weekends.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was great. That's how I got my first bits of on-set experience, was just being an extra in that. It's also how I this is a stupid thing to do, guys. Don't do this. I started smoking because it was a really easy way to meet actors. And so I did background for a Ryan Felipe movie, and I could go bum a cigarette from him and have a conversation real quick to just be like, hey, can I bum one? I don't have my pack with me. Da, da, da. Oh my gosh, how's it going? How you doing? And have a quick little chat, and then be like, I just got treated like a person. What?
Oh my God.
And now I don't smoke, which is very good.
Look,
I quit
if you're
during
going to
the
smoke
pandemic.
for any reason, do it to meet some
do it to
famous
talk
people.
To big celebrity. But also don't smoke.
But also don't do it.
Because then I did it for 10 years.
Wow.
Gross.
That's so crazy though. How did I not know that? Okay, wait. So now I don't mean to turn this into an interview, but also at the same time, we're BFFs and I don't know this. So, okay. So wait, so in high school though, is it the same, were the college and the high school connected? Because you went to Catholic high school
no,
right?
I went to public high school. So I went to public school, but then I had to go to catechism classes at my church twice a week.
Oh, okay.
So I'd go to classes twice a week, and I sang at one mass a week, and I'd have rehearsal for that mass, plus doing theater rehearsals on top of it. How was I not a good student?
Hello?
It's it's so weird. So yeah, I knew about St. Thomas just because of Catholic scholarships that my church had talked about, and also just the archdiocese and everything would be oh yeah, these are all the different Catholic schools you can go to in the area. And then St. Edward's I found out about later because I knew a couple friends who were going there, and they seemed to like it a lot more. And they were not Catholic. And I was like, oh, maybe that would be good. And they had a really strong writing program and stuff. So I went there.
That is so crazy. Yeah. I did not know that about, well, not just about like the school, but that like there were Catholic universities so abundantly, I guess I could say.
And they're pretty chill. At least that was my experience with it.
And that's the other surprise for me is that, you know, you didn't have to like go to specific things. Like I know, well, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I wonder if it's different with Catholic versus Christian or something because, you know, here there's 8,000 majillion Christian colleges, you know, and they're kind of, I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of sort of masquerading as like liberal arts colleges, which like to a certain extent they are, but they still have to go to a certain amount of like services and stuff to like, and I think some people would like blow them off or like not really participate but like still say they went or whatever, so I don't know if it's like as like disciplined as I'm making it sound, but that's one of the, and I feel like some of them, I feel like I've applied to some of them even like years ago, and like you have to say like, yes, I am a Christian, and yes, I like will abide by the rules here, X, Y, and Z.
Well, I mean,
but you didn't have to do any of that.
I had all my catechism stuff already, which is how I got that scholarship of like, I'm a cantor in my church, and I'm very involved, and this is where I volunteer because of my confirmation classes that I'm in, and blah 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 blah. And it made my mom so happy. She was so excited. 'Cause my mom, she was part of the archdiocese that Spotlight is about. Like in Boston, the exposed Catholic church. That's where my mom went. And my mom and my uncle like were little kids who took themselves to church every week because both my grandparents worked. My grandma worked for the Aunt Jemima syrup company, and then my grandpa was a drill sergeant, and so they worked night shift, day shift. And so one parent was usually sleeping. And so like my mom like made the choice to go to church and made the choice to be very involved because like the rest of my family is Catholic, but also was like, God will forgive me for going to work. So this is fine. Yeah. But my mom was very like, I want my kids to be Catholic. The church was always there for me. Da, 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 da. So I made a point to do all of that while I lived with her and, you know, while she was raising me. And then that way in college, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I also senior year would try to like work as much as I could and be like, I have to go work at Johnny Rockets on Sunday. I'm so sorry. I need that money for college.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. What other, like, you were talking about doing stand-up stuff too. What did you do stand-up? Well, we can talk about that too, but I meant stand-ins when you were doing background work.
Yeah, I didn't get to do stand-in work until I moved to LA, which was great because I did like background work and everything, right, in Austin, where I just like be a student or be like in the back of a bar or those kinds of things. My 21st birthday, I was working on an MTV movie that I don't think ever got released. And we were drinking like fake beer for 12 hours. And it was just the weirdest thing of just like, this is the first day that I could legally obtain alcohol. And here I am drinking O'Doul's.
That is hilarious.
It was great. Yeah,
What show was that for? Was that for Friday Night Lights?
It was some weird.
Oh, no, it was the MTV thing.
It was some MTV like cowboy-y movie that I don't know if it ever even came out.
That is so funny.
But it was fun.
Now I'm going to have to start watching Friday Night Lights and looking for you.
Just where is she? It was mostly the football stadium, though. So, like, we'd be there just, like, it was me and my roommate Liz, and we'd just be, like, sitting there in the bleachers being like, yay, football.
Oh, my God.
Woo. And really, it'd just be us being like, where's Kyle Chandler? We want to see him.
That is hilarious.
He's very
I haven't
nice.
actually watched Friday Night Lights, which a lot of people are, like, freaked out about. I haven't done that yet, but I will. I will eventually.
I have not seen most of that show.
People love it, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have some like flashbacks for sure, because that was definitely my type of like high school experience with the football, and it was such a huge deal, like you know, rivalries between our two high schools in our little town.
Yep.
But anyway, okay, stand-in.
I didn't do that till I came to LA, and that was just because I probably shouldn't say the names of these shows too, because AMPTP. That's okay, whatever. Hi guys. It was before I was a union member.
We're not promoting it.
Yeah, we're not promoting anything.
Don't watch it.
The show I was a stand-in on, I first of all got regular background work because the casting director liked my accent, and she liked that I kept saying,
funny.
yeah, she liked that I kept saying yes ma'am, no ma'am,
That's right.
Which was very, very sweet. And that was not always the case, because sometimes people, I would say it and they'd be like, why are you calling me ma'am? Do you think I'm fucking old? And I'd be like, no, I'm just from the South. I'm sorry. I'm fresh
I'm
off
just
the
trying
bus.
to be polite.
I'm so new.
Oh my God.
But so she liked that. And then once I got on set, I found out she liked me so much that she told everyone I was SAG. I was like, okay. And she like let me know too, where she was like, yeah, just don't correct them. That way you can get some SAG vouchers.
Great.
Which was very, very sweet of her. So I was SAG the entirety of that show. And then I had done like stand-in work for like the Houston Opera, but that's not the same thing, where it's just you going on stage during Tech Week for them to like mark the lights. Like
that's wild.
It's not the same at all. But so when they were like, hey, does anyone here have stand-in experience? I went, oh, I've done it for theater. And then this other PA who was nice to me and became my friend was like, oh, Kris has tons of stand-in experience. Let's use her. And so like I got pay bumped for that. And then I was getting paid that. And it was the very last day of a 3-month shoot that I finally didn't have a SAG voucher. And then people were like, oh, your paperwork's wrong. And I was like, no, it's not. They were like, you know what's wrong? I was like, no, it's not. Don't worry about it.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
And then everyone found out, like all the other actors, and a whole bunch of the SAG actors got really, really mad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's why if you are trying to get into this industry, oh my gosh, stand-in, background work, all that stuff, it's so good. It's so wonderful to like learn about how sets work and whose job is what without there being a tremendous amount of pressure on you. Because when it's you actually having lines and things, whoo, it's intense.
I know.
It's so nice to do it.
So like they gave you the vouchers though so that you could become SAG after that?
Yeah.
Okay,
which did kind of in a way like fuck me. Because then I booked those
then
commercials and then I became a must join and then my commercials didn't air. And then I fell into a whiskey bottle for 2 days. Where I was like, I'm going to be sad for 2 days.
And we're just going to
then I'll be
this
fine.
ever happened.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I totally, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too about like people that are uneducated on the strike and everything about like, and not knowing that there is such a thing as a working actor as opposed to the 1% of actors that get, everything everywhere all at once.
Yep.
Hello. And it's just really interesting to me because like I thought about this the other day and I was like, do you understand how much we have to fucking love this to go through this? Like, why would anyone do this?
Yeah.
If we didn't love it so much. And I remember Mia, who we mentioned before, who was in New York doing her show, was like saying how it felt so good to like act again and like be in the energy and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's so like, profound because it feels so good. We love this so much. So we wouldn't be fighting so hard if it wasn't like a huge deal.
Exactly. And it is the most basic ask of being fairly compensated. It really, really is. I was reading yesterday, I shared this on my stories, was, one of the more sinister things that I think people are overlooking too with these strikes is, so insurance is obviously a big aspect of this too, of just we need to make enough money to qualify for our insurance. And it's different for the WGA than it is for SAG-AFTRA. But WGA has been on strike for what, like 102 or 3 days now?
Yeah.
Something like that at the time of this recording.
Right.
And that is 100 days that they have not been able to do work that qualifies them and their families for health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So no one's doing this because they don't want to work. They absolutely want to work. They need to work. A bunch of these people are going to lose their health insurance. So it's not just Hollywood producers saying we're going to get them out of their homes. We're going to make it so they can't pay their rent and car payments. They're not going to be able to be insured anymore. And that becomes a life and death situation. 100%. I mean, it's just for average people who make a very modest living, wanting to be compensated still quite modestly. And it's such a bigger issue too when you look at it. It's a workers issue. It's basic living requirement issues.
Yeah.
These huge corporations who so many of us work for in one way or another should not be making 300 times the amount of money their employees make.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. It's so disrespectful. It's just like, and it also doesn't make sense nothing makes sense, but it doesn't make sense from a money standpoint anyway, because if you're wanting to churn out more shows and episodes and all these things, like the way to do that is to pay your people well so they keep coming back and making you more money. It's just like, it's very disconcerting to see how unintelligent this whole thing is. It's so stupid. Yeah. And also, I mean, look, my thing too also with the whole AI part of it is like, I don't actually mind like working on some sort of compromise so that we can use AI. I mean, AI is a thing that like is inevitable. It's going to have to be incorporated into our systems, not just acting, but somewhere. So like, I don't understand why it's like such a black and white when it is a gray area. Apart from using my likeness for $250 for the rest of my fucking life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a tool that needs to be used with consent.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. But also, speaking of solidarity, the Parks gang was at the picket line, which was so fun. I posted it on my Instagram stories, and people have been sending them the videos to me, and it's been so lovely. I loved Aubrey Plaza was like, everybody deserves a livable wage, even Jerry.
I loved her sign that was Ann Perkins works for the AMPTP.
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't get it.
So the AMPTP, that's the Producers Guild, not the Producers Guild. PGA is different, but that's the conglomerate of people that they're striking against right now. So it's the motion picture and television.
Oh, okay, I get the joke now because she hates Anne.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was confused about. I was like, what is the joke though? I don't understand.
Yeah. I love it so much. I thought it was clever.
Oh my God. Okay,
I really liked all the Pawnee is a union town. Signs too. I saw that and was like, I can't wait to talk to Holly about that because, like, where would Leslie Knope be on this issue?
I know. Oh my God. And sadly, unfortunately, I think her and Tina are still on tour. Yes. I think. So I think that's why she wasn't there. I had some people asking me like, "Where's Amy? Where's Rashida?" I don't know Rashida's deal. I don't know what she's doing.
Pratt wasn't there either.
You said what?
Pratt wasn't there either.
Chris Pratt. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Pratt. Whatever.
Same.
He posted though about it and said that he was with them in spirit. Whatever. You know who was like I was shocked by seeing, which like I shouldn't be because I know this, but Nick Offerman is so fucking hot. Like he is so sexy. He's like aging so well.
He
His
is a fine Scotch.
Sophisticated glasses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fine Scotch is him for sure.
He is a lovely, lovely shot of Lagavulin. And you know what the sexiest thing is? Solidarity. Really is.
Yes, that is sexy. Oh!
That's great.
Tweep was there, which was great. Her and Retta were talking. Mm-hmm. Ben Schwartz was there as well, which I have to say, Ben Schwartz, you said Li'l Sebastian and not Lul, so get it together.
That horse is committed. Came back from the dead to strike? Oh goodness gracious.
Crazy. Oh. The real life Li'l Sebastian is not dead. However, I can't remember. Oh, his name is Gideon. That's what I was going to say.
Gideon, the tiny horse. Oh my God.
The tiny horse. Oh my God. And the place where those animals are that they like, quote unquote, I don't want to say rent, but get them from, I guess. Mm-hmm. Is in California. I think it's like an hour or so outside of town. So outside of like the confines of LA. So like that was probably really Li'l Sebastian.
That's amazing.
I know. Aww. So cute. But I didn't see Aziz there either. But I feel like he's doing stuff now too. Isn't he doing like I was going to say, isn't he doing a new show? But I don't think that he's probably doing it.
Well, and prior to the strike, I know a lot of things were getting shut down just because of certain actors involved and allegations against those actors and...
Right. But this is where I'm so like, and I don't know, I think we can talk about this part, but I text you guys, like literally that has become one of the main things in our thread, I feel, where I'll text you and be like, what's her name is talking about her new fucking show that's coming up to like in next month. What are the rules? Because I thought promotion was like a main thing.
This is
and so I know some people are under contract, and you can probably actually speak way more intelligently to this than I can, but I know that there are some contract loopholes, but I'm just like, what?
There's a lot of red tape and gray areas here, and a lot of this comes from the interim agreements, which I completely am for. I love that there are studios that are accepting the demands of SAG-AFTRA and working with them. And making sure that these actors are compensated for their time properly. Some of the things on there, too, of the requests were as base as wanting makeup artists and hair artists who are capable of working with actors of color. That seems like the most basic thing to do. But apparently that's something we really need to ask for. So that is another moment of intersectionalism and solidarity that we definitely need to be standing by. But the thing that concerns me about a lot of these studios then is, sure, during the actual filming and everything, they are totally above board with everything. What happens when we sell these projects to streamers? Because that's the really big elephant in the room is how then do you compensate for when these things go on those platforms? Because that's the thing that's not being properly measured. And they can absolutely measure these things. There are tiered ad systems coming out of all the different, Netflix is having ads, Disney Plus is going to have ads, all this stuff. Your advertisers absolutely have that data. They know how many people are watching these things. That's why they're putting money into these shows. Give it to the actors. That's all we need. Because if people aren't watching a show, hey, we don't make as many residuals. If they are watching a show, hey, we make more residuals. That's how it works. Fair is fair.
Oh, the way you say it sounds so simple.
It's so, right. It should be. It should be. Just like, Bob, sell a yacht and help us. So it's not that difficult. But there are so many weird loopholes right now that I think it's getting so confusing. And frankly, too, I know you ended up getting a response. I've messaged SAG multiple times and called. I still have not gotten a response. And finally, I at least was like, okay, my stuff per the SAG website is covered because of my pre-existing contract. And luckily, the guys I work with, like Campia and Harloff and these other people who I've like guested on, have made sure that I'm not doing anything wrong while I'm on those shows.
Right.
Like the Campia crew in particular is like, hey, and I'll talk about this because I don't know if Kris can. Which is great and very, very helpful for me. So I also like don't feel like I'm breaking rules. But like there's now things about promotion too, because I know a couple different studios I follow are like, how does this help us? How does you promoting this movie or how does you getting to go to the Venice Film Festival help our movie?
Right.
Or help our cause? I am confused by a lot of that stuff. And I'm trying to keep researching that because it feels like there's just a new interim agreement for people all the time. And I don't understand all the minutia there. I need to be way more informed to be able to speak eloquently on that because it's confusing.
Totally. And there's some people, because my mom still watches regular TV. Like, she still has cable and does, like, Kelly and Mark. Kelly and Mark now. So and that's a lot of where I am getting certain information where she'll be like, so-and-so's promoting this. But she will say certain things like people are promoting, like, reality shows or X, Y, and Z. And that's not a part of it, a part of the strike anyway, as far as we know. So that doesn't count. Or like podcasts. I know that people have come on podcasts and promoted their podcasts, their books, their other media forms. But there are people who are like straight up promoting a show that's coming out on Amazon like in a month. And I'm just like.
And I know some of them, if it's like English actors or other folks, if they're members of Equity instead of SAG-AFTRA, that's part of it. Like that's how House of the Dragon continued to film because they actually cannot strike in solidarity with us. They will be in breach of their contracts and things like that.
Wow.
So one of the writer of Bad Sisters, that amazing Apple Plus show, she is not part of the WGA. She's part of a UK writing guild. Oh. And so she's talked about how like it feels weird to be going back to work when, my buddies across the pond are doing this, but that's how this goes. So I'm wondering, too, if some of those shows that are getting promoted are using those loopholes as well, where it's, hey, it's actors in this guild or it's writers in this guild. But yeah, reality television, we're going to see a huge boom. I mean, back in 2007 when we had that really long writer's strike, the last writer's strike that was really significant, we saw so many shows die. Things that were in their freshman, sophomore year, just Better Off Ted, Pushing Daisies, a bunch of shows just went the way of the dodo. And then we saw the rise of reality television stars. That's when the Kardashians started being kept up with. That's really where they got their boom. And I definitely think we're going to see that again because, sure, right now we haven't felt the writer's effect too much. Serialized television, that's pretty immediate. Like procedurals and things like that. Late night shows, obviously.
I know my mom is like sad about all the Chicagos. She watches like Chicago Fire.
My mom does
Chicago
too.
Med.
She loves those. And then now with the actors, obviously that puts a big dent in things too. But we had stuff in the pipeline that was already in production or post-production, right? And now I think it's going to be when we come into like December or the first quarter of the next year, we're going to have this big push on reality shows or reruns or something because
totally.
Nothing.
I know it. Right. Nothing. I love that strike sign that somebody had. It was like, coming this fall. Nothing. I love it. And I'm not going to say this person's name, but the person that was promoting their show was that I, was watching on that other show is not British and is not any, like, she is a full-on American 90s superstar. Like, I don't know how this is happening, but maybe Amazon has its own bullshit. I don't fucking know. But I was like, and the show I was like, oh, maybe it's like a new show that like just started and it was in like production or something. And so like they had this contract that they had, and maybe that's still the case. I don't fucking know. But there's 2 seasons of it. And so they were talking about the new season. And I was like, this is really odd.
I don't see, and this is where it gets so confused.
It's so tricky. But I will say, and I won't, well, I don't know. I need to look up what the name of the movie is, but like most of you guys, I think, have heard me talk about this. But going back to the AI thing, so just like as a people that don't know, like actors, which like you do now, hello. But like I was doing background on a show that shot in Tennessee, and it was the worst set I've ever been on in my entire life. And it was a SAG technically production. I am non-union, but it was SAG production, and they did scan us technically, and it was like this little box, kind of like your sound booth, Chris, that had like a bunch of digital cameras and a bunch of lights, and you step in and you like with your wardrobe and everything, and they scan you or take a picture of you, and because it was a parade scene and they wanted to fill up the parade, and I don't remember signing anything of that nature. I thought it was just like, okay, we're just gonna use it for this if we need to be fair, they didn't need to. They had like 300, 400 extras. You do not need to fill more than that because you don't even see all of us on the screen anyway. So whatever. Anyway, so that happened, and so when I heard about that AI thing, I was like, if this doesn't get resolved, the picture that I was scanned with could be used forever and ever, amen. And I got paid, what was it, $10 an hour for the time that I was on set. Yeah. Like, that's not okay. It's not anywhere near, like, not even ethical. I don't even fucking care if it's like ethical, whatever. It's just like the idea of it in general, like, it's hard to explain when I think about it, but that's not okay because you wouldn't expect to go into your job and not get paid. Like, if you're not getting paid, exactly, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? And this is a job. This is not a hobby. This is a job. And I think so many people are concerned that it's like an extracurricular vibe, and I'm just like, it's not.
Not with how much time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears has to go into it.
Hello?
I mean,
yeah. So I also, I think I told you this though, but I called SAG about that. This part I did tell you. Or I called SAG about that, and since we are a right to work state, SAG can't do anything. SAG does not protect background actors. Just a little FYI for, in general, really, but especially in the right to work states. So I would have had to call the labor department essentially if I wanted any, and I wasn't calling about the AI. I was calling about how terrible the set conditions were, how illegal the set conditions were, as far as minors being on set, props hurting people, hello, and all that stuff. But anyway, so then they asked if I wanted to submit my name for who is like complaining or submitting the complaint or whatever, and I was like, I want to be anonymous first, but if someone from the set or crew or whatever specifically asks me or asks you who did this and they want to get in contact with me, then like fine, okay, whatever. But I just didn't think they would. I just wanted to make my voice heard. So, but they did call me. They called me back and left a message, and apparently they said they were executive producer. I wrote their name down somewhere, but I don't even know it, so I can't even like name drop, which I wouldn't, but maybe I would. I don't know. Anyway. So they called me, left a message, said they were executive producer, but I looked them up on IMDb and it said that they were the production manager. So I don't know what the hell they were. Regardless, I couldn't call back I couldn't answer because I was at a doctor's appointment, but I called back as soon as I got out because at first I was like, ooh, is this going to open a can of worms that we don't need, or a bag of worms?
A bag of worms.
That we don't need.
You're going to have a big old bag of worms now, Holly.
Big old bag of worms. But then I was like, Holly, do this for everyone. And also, like, bitch, you just got like bonked in the head and was bleeding, so you should probably like say something and talk to somebody. Anyhow, so I called and they didn't answer, but I did leave a message, and I was like, how far do I want to take this? Because I could have called the labor department. It would have taken me a long time. I could have called whoever that guy was 100,000 times, but I was like, you know what? He knows what the fuck happened, and I'm sure that the A-team people does not know what the fuck was going on during that set because they can't possibly know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm sure you can piece together who this was because they're keeping on trying to bring sets and like media to Tennessee because they live here and whatever. And like, that's great. But like, can we maybe have a decent set? And then that's why that's why it's so also weird for me. And at this point, I'm just ranting, but it's the last thing I'll say. It's also weird for me as a non-union actor to think about like, if I do join the union, when I do join the union, am I going to be protected anyway? Question mark.
Yeah.
That's tricky. But like, that's also what we're fighting for. Do you know what I mean? Like, for people to be protected and for us to have the right to like speak up and say, I want to get paid more and I don't want to be treated like shit.
Exactly. Well, and I bring this up all the time too, is SAG-AFTRA is not perfect by any means.
Right.
That's why there's different political parties within it too. Just
Right.
like anything else in life, there are certain different policies and policymakers that all kind of side together. We're actually up for a vote right now of putting in potentially new representatives, new presidents and board members and things like that. So right now, one of the things that's very frustrating because of the Goliath we have in front of us, right? The AMPTP, it's, okay, we got to focus on that.
Yeah.
And then we've got a lot to work on in here too. Because,
Totally.
the must-join situation, I think, is messed up, and I definitely have a personal stake in that battle of, I didn't have a day job. I didn't work at a juicery until I became a union actor because I was doing great as a non-union actor.
Yeah.
I was doing so many voiceovers and so many commercials. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. So many of these huge companies still are going non-union for commercials, and they can absolutely afford to pay us. They absolutely can.
Yeah.
And there's other, obviously, issues within the union, too, about these protections, about things like that. The commercial that I got cut from, I made a complaint because I had a horrible time on that set where my costume fitting, I was all of a size 6 at this point in my life. Oh, she was dainty. And I went to the fitting and all of my measurements were up to date. I was very diligent about that. And they kept trying to give me 0s and 2s. And it was, I'm so sorry, this isn't my size. This isn't my size. And they kept saying things like, well, she's too big for all of our clothes, or she's too, it was a whole bunch of language about how I was large. And It was, did you guys get my size card? Because my size card has my sizes on here. And I even brought it up and was like, see, they're all listed on there. And I would get eye rolls and treated really poorly. And I called my agent. And my agent, the amazing Amber, she's no longer in this industry, and I loved her so much. She was an absolute bloodhound for me. And she
Love
called
that.
production and was like, they are not talking about this in front of my actor anymore. They are not doing this to her. They are going to get her things in her size. She is crying in her dressing room right now because she thinks she's too fat. This is not what you do on a set with a booked actor. And it was known that I was the person who complained. And on set, when I went in to actually shoot, the people who were saying those things about me weren't there, but some of the other people were still there, and they knew I was the girl who complained, and I still got an outfit that was too small for me. And when I
you got cut.
I got cut from that commercial, but also on set when I had my big moment of like, I'm supposed to be looking at something and I let out this like very like nervous sigh kind of thing, or it's a big nervous reaction because I was smushed into this dress. I luckily had a sweater on. When I did the big, all the sides burst on it.
No!
And it was luckily for my last take. But I burst out of this dress and I had to like lean forward to this costuming person because I pulled my sweater then and was like, the dress burst, just so you're aware. And she was like, oh, okay, all right. And a lot of times too, these sets get you like nice designer clothes. And I busted a designer dress that was still a size 4. And your girl was a 6. And
Dude.
she's not anymore. She's thicker. She's strong. But yeah, it was one of those things too where it was, okay, I absolutely could have been cut for time. I could have been cut for the quality of my work. I could have been cut for a whole bunch of things. But I'm always going to have a little part of my brain that goes, did I get cut because I complained?
But you'll never know.
And I'll never know.
And that is such a common story of fat shaming when you're not even fat.
And I will say, I am still so glad that I called my agent and I talked to him.
I'm
so
too.
glad that I had an agent who thought that was unacceptable. I'm so glad that there was one girl on set, the one who, like, when I burst out of my thing was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, it doesn't even fit you. Of course it did that. Like, I'm so thankful for those people on there, and I will continue to advocate for myself. But it's things like that, though, where you go, but I don't want to be a problem. And I don't want to be problematic. And especially as a female presenting person, you don't want to be labeled as problematic because it has this other weight to it so often of just, you know.
You're never going to get hired again. You're like being
they're difficult.
calculated.
They're really difficult. They're whiny. They should just be happy that they have this. And that goes back to so much of this industry. Anytime that you work in something that has fans, that has people who love this so much, you've seen it with acting, we've seen it with music, we see it with the comic book industry. They just had a big movement on Twitter about what comics did to certain people. You know, anytime you have fans who want to work, they're going to get taken advantage of. And so it's really important to be loud and proud and stand up for yourself, because otherwise a whole bunch of people are going to get really taken advantage of.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. And was that like one of your first-ish ones in LA?
That was after I'd lived here for several years. That was
because I feel like now you would be like, fuck you. Like,
oh, yeah.
this is not okay.
I would
know
have
what
been,
I mean? And so like if you're a
awful.
little newer to it, or like haven't done it as much maybe, but even maybe when you have, you just haven't reached that point of like, I hate you. This is awful.
It
you know
happened
what I mean?
prior to 3-2-1.
Okay.
It happened prior to us working together. So I was still a bit of a baby, but it was one of those really
newish.
Yeah, it was one of those really, really big bookings. And it was during a time where I got a whole bunch of on-camera hero commercials at the same time, which was fun because I did a whole bunch of non-union commercials like that week where I was like the lead of the commercial and got prosthetics and got all kinds of stuff. And then I had that one. It was like the only union one in the mix. And it was the only set where I was treated poorly.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes when other actors are like, and you'll never be treated poorly on these sets. No, it's just that you have systems to go through to make those complaints.
Yeah.
And in theory, do have better working hours, lunch breaks, those things, et cetera, as long as everything goes well and goes smoothly.
Yeah.
But I always get worried when like sweet baby new actors are like, and then I'll join the union, everything will be perfect forever.
No.
It won't. Just like how, you know, being an American citizen. Your life isn't perfect. There are things that need to happen. But hey, I'm really happy that I live here.
Right.
I just have to fight for certain things.
Yeah. 100%. Do you remember, oh shoot, I forgot her name. She does a lot of work now, but she worked at 3-2-1 as well. And I remember she told a story about that as well. I can't remember if it was a commercial or a pilot or something like this, because she booked a bunch of pilots while she was working there too. But like they said, she was saying the same situation happened to her where they like kept being frustrated with her because she couldn't fit into certain things. And she was like, I think...
Wait, was this the blonde?
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. I just don't know if I should say their name.
I know, same here. I think
okay.
I was about to say it, but I won't say it. But yeah, she's like tall, beautiful, like
stunning.
Not like bigger at all. You know, and I what? Like, I don't mind saying that I'm bigger because, like, for the societal norm, I suppose, like, I am. But which is interesting because I feel like I haven't had a ton of those experiences yet. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But I've been lucky with that kind of regard. But at the same time, like, I haven't been on a union set as far as, like, commercial goes. So, I don't know. It doesn't matter, though. That's not the point. The point is that, like, there were thousands of ways to wardrobe both of you. And it just was,
well, especially,
I don't understand how it benefits
I was seen
them.
from the chest to the top of my head.
Yeah.
For all you all know, I could have been eating in a restaurant without pants on. I don't know. Like,
totally.
they didn't need to put me in a fancy dress with certain shoes and certain this, that, or the other. And obviously you like fully dress a human being. That makes sense. But y'all could have thrown a t-shirt on me because they put a sweater over me too.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. And with that particular actress, too, who is stunning and looks like a 1990s pop star, like,
yeah,
they could have figured it out.
I just don't understand how it benefits anyone. You know what I mean? Like, is it just harder to get bigger sizes? Because it's not.
It's really
You know what I mean? Especially if you had the planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, you had the size cards, you had the measurements, you had everything. But anyway, so that's kind of something that's interesting to me that I hope will be thought about during this as well. I don't know if that's like even in the mix, but wait, didn't they meet recently? Like, was it this week that they were meeting with the AMPTP? So
the Writers Guild is going back. They talked about coming back to the negotiation table, and that was happening on the 10th, I believe. Okay. Going back to those. So one of the things to keep in mind too is the AMPTP cannot negotiate with more than one guild at a time. That's just how the rules are for this. So they will meet with the WGA. They will have discussions. They'll do with that. Whatever happens there. And then they'll be able to come back to the table to SAG to have their discussions with the SAG-AFTRA group.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the WGA is able to use the leverage of having solidarity with SAG.
Yeah.
The last time that they were together, the last time both unions stood in solidarity together was back in the 1960s, I believe. And that was when we fought to get residuals. So,
right. Which changed the game entirely.
So good things happen when people stick together and stand up for one another. And obviously,
Totally.
each guild is going to negotiate on behalf of themselves. They have to put their guild first here.
Right.
But I'm hoping that the two together can kind of create some sort of momentum here to just get them the basic things they want. And sure, we might not get everything. Sure, we may not get the numbers we get. But the whole, like, we offered historic rates to these people. Yeah, things are obviously historic if they haven't increased in 40 years. Yeah. That's what a bullshit response. So hopefully, though,
it's so I think it is going to be so monumental. It will happen. It's just a matter of when. And it's called a negotiation, bro. Like, obviously, when you just flat out reject something, that's not negotiation.
No.
Okay. You know, and that's what they're doing or did. So I hope that the writers, like you said, will just have some good luck in that regard, and then it will just keep flowing down the line.
Yeah, hopefully. Any good negotiation is filled with compromise. You're not going to get everything you want, but you're going to get a lot of the things you do, or at least meet in the middle. And the best negotiation tactic I was ever taught was from my father.
Yeah, I was just going to ask this. I remember you saying this on Campia.
I love this so much, and it's just, I believe this is fair and reasonable. Do you believe this is fair and reasonable? And if they start to go, well, no, it's a yes or no question. Yes or no. Is this fair and reasonable? Because when they say no, then they have to explain why is it not fair and reasonable. And again, if it's no, you just said this was not fair or reasonable. Explain that to me so I understand. And then they have to tell you to your face why you're being unreasonable. This is what I've done for paid negotiations all the time. I had a gig where I found out the other person on a show was going to be making 10 grand more than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, I do the exact same job as this person. In fact, I often do more segments than this person. Do you believe it's fair and reasonable to do the same job as somebody and make less money? And the person I was talking to went, whoa, well, and started laughing. And I was like, no, it's an easy question. Do you think it's fair and reasonable? And it was, I thought you were the nice one. I was like, I am the nice one. I'm also smart.
Oh my God. So nice now means getting fucked over.
Yep. And I got my money where it was, yeah, you're right. We'll absolutely make sure you get that. And it was a very short-lived thing, but I just loved the idea of, well, we thought we were dealing with the nice one. You are the nice and smart one.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
I'm not going to be unpleasant about this and come in and like kick your door open and be like, why the fuck am I not getting my money? Like, that's not helpful. But,
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. I hope somebody else uses that the next time they go into a job negotiation and gets what they deserve.
Totally. That's also one of my favorite things too. I think you actually may have said this, or I don't remember. But that thing of like when someone makes a stupid joke or like an offensive joke, and you have to be like, "Wait, well, I don't get it. Wait, why is that funny?
Why is it funny?"
And then they have to explain it. And I think I've only done that a handful of times because like when I learned about that, I wasn't brave enough to, and then when I became brave enough to, I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." And it's just, I love seeing bigots squirm.
It's so great. Why is it funny? I don't understand.
Explain to me that. I don't get it.
Oh,
well, because I'm racist.
Yep. Because of the racism of it. Oh.
Right. You don't get that?
So not at all? Not at all funny? Cool.
It's so fun. They don't think about it that way.
Yeah. It's great.
But anyhow. Oh my God. Well, this was like so great.
This was great. Thank you for letting me hang out with you. This is lovely.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
This was wonderful. I loved it. And I love that we can just record our hangouts. It's so nice.
I know. Also, I'm so cozy right now. Oh my gosh. I'm going to just live inside here.
Do you have like what kind of chair you got in there? Like a cushioned baby?
I have a bar stool, honestly. It's got a back to it. I need to get something nicer for me, but this is great. Yeah. Gimli keeps trying to come in here too. He loves the booth. Gimli's my dog. He's 13. I just had his bark mitzvah. It was magical.
Bark mitzvah!
It was real cute. It was real precious.
That is precious.
But he loves it in here, and he tries to sleep in here all the time. Which also is a little concerning, though, where I'm like, don't shut the dog in the booth. Don't do it.
I know, right? I bet if you had cats, they'd be trying to get in there, too, because they just love little cozy, spaces. Yeah. Oh, my God. I need to get I have one, but I don't know how to make it work with my desk. I need to get a mic stand that will like come out a little bit further to me so I can like just lean back and. No. But
Ooh.
usually with Park Pals, I am like up here because I want to like be with my notes and stuff. But I kind of just like the casual vibe. And I have a mic stand that will like go further out, but I would need to like figure out where to orient it. You know.
I can send you a link.
Is there a desk one?
Yeah, as long as you're okay clamping it on the desk.
Oh, I think I might. Yeah, that might work.
That's what I use when I have to set up multiple mics for people. Is I just have these ones that clamp onto things, and they're little bendy arms.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
I keep forgetting that this is a audio medium and gesturing in a way that I'm like, no one knows what that is.
No, honestly though, like they're used to it. What are we gonna do? You know what I mean? It's whatever. Okay, guys. Well, that is it for Strike Pod. What I'm calling Strike Pod.
Strike Pod.
Strike Pod 1 done. I don't know what I'm going to do for theme music or if there will be theme music, but I may end up just doing like a garage band public moment. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes.
But other than that, thanks for listening. We will definitely, like I said, be recording Park Pals episodes, but we just won't release them until, actors and writers get a fair wage. So stay tuned for Strike Pod 2, which I have no idea who will be on, but we're going to be doing it.
Strike Pod 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's going to be great.
Well, thank you, Kris Carr, for coming on. I will tag
Constant.
you so that you can be followed everywhere. And you're still on Campia sometimes, or do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I am on Campia. So I am on that show. My hours just changed. I'm going to be on there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Fridays, I am doing open mics. So those are live. I would love for people to be on there so we can like hang out and chat and talk. It's so much more fun.
This is on YouTube for people that don't know.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We also are now streaming wherever you get your podcasts, but obviously listen to Parks and Pals. I will have a podcast coming out soon too. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have information on that. It's a project I'm doing with the great Amy Newman. And every now and then I pop up as a guest on The Big Thing with Christian Harloff. So lots of places to see me. And if you don't want to see me, you just ignore all those things.
No one wants to not see you. Come on. And you'll also be on the next Park Pals episode we have an interview when all of the things are negotiated. We have an interview with a great producer, and then we will have Pawnee Rangers, which I feel like will be interesting to listen to this episode because I don't know when Pawnee Rangers will be released, but you may or may not be on that one too. So either way, you are a friend of the pod, both of Strike Pod and Park Pals, and I'm just happy that we got to hang out today.
Me too. Thanks, dude. This was great.
Well, I'll also be posting in the show notes where you can support actors and writers, and also where you can support those affected by the wildfires in Maui. There's a lot that you can contribute to. I know money's always tight, especially with student loans coming up. So fun. But I think anything helps. And, if you know people, like I heard Busy Phillips, I think, say that like she was moving or something, and she just like hired crew or something to help her move because she was like, there's like ways you can make money, bro. Like, let's just get you in any job. So if you know people that are looking for gigs and you have a gig, I mean, look, the job market is shit, as we talked about. But if there's like random handyman shit or I don't know, whatever you can think of, or just buy him dinner, who cares? Like, but there are ways to do that. So I'll be posting that. But yeah, we just thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yay! I like burped at a minute 31.